Matthew Leckie puts Australia into the quarterfinals.
That is a magnificent goal by Awamabil.
Oh, Matty Ryan, wow! Camping it out of the top corner like Superman.
Hello and welcome to the Socceroos podcast, where we go one-on-one with your favourite players to keep you connected with the Socceroos. My name is Michael Putterflam. On this episode, we chat with Socceroo cap number 588. After making his professional debut under Graham Arnold at Central Coast Mariners, he signed for Borussia Dortmund as an 18-year-old. Fast forward 8 years and he's starring in Denmark as one of AGF Aarhus's most senior players, and he's becoming an important player in the Socceroos midfield. To top it all off, he recently had his first child. His name is, of course, Mustafa Amini.
All right, Musti, thank you very much for joining us on the podcast. Firstly, how's everything going with you?
Good, all good. Thanks for having me. And everything's going all right at the moment. I got my daughter, but the only thing is not good that is we can't play football, which is, as you've seen around the world in Europe. So that's the tough part. We're at home and trying to stay at home to stop the virus going around, and that's about it. So it's been busy with the little one, and without football it's tough.
Sure. Do you want to give us an idea of exactly where you are at the moment and what your current situation is?
I'm in Denmark in Aarhus, and just last week we had a midweek game on Thursday, and we rocked up to training in the morning of the game, and then we had a meeting with the staff and all that, and we all got sent home for 2 weeks. It was quite interesting. It's never happened before, that type of thing, and the government spoke live on TV and told everyone to go home from work and stay safe and wash your hands and all that kind of stuff, keep your distance from people. And it was a shock. We came to train in the morning of the game day, and you get sent home, and that's it. You're home for 2 weeks. So we did our grocery shopping and all that kind of stuff. It wasn't as crazy as has been all the videos I've seen in Australia so far, but it was still a lot of people getting their groceries because the lockdown laws were coming and that kind of stuff. So that happened, and I was home and been home for 4 days now, and then we went and got equipment from the gym. Went back to the club and cleaned out the whole gym. One by one, players could go into the gym and collect what they needed, and I got a sports bike and a mat and some weights and that kind of thing, and we all got a program from the physios who we have to train at 11 o'clock every morning, and they give us a call at 4 o'clock to see how it all was. So we are still busy training and that kind of thing, but it's not the same. And I've got my daughter, lucky enough, so it's a blessing, and it's great that I can spend time with her. We even go on the WhatsApp groups in the team and that kind of stuff, and everyone was texting, Musti gets his maternity leave, which footballer does that, how lucky, and that kind of stuff, mucking around. So that was quite nice, and I'm thankful for having her here, to spend these special days with her as they grow up quick. But like I said, the health of the world and everyone is the most important. Football's not important right now, and you can see that. I love how the nation and the world is gathered together to try to stop this virus, So us in Denmark, we're in lockdown. We're told to stay home, and that's what we're doing. And until it goes, we'll keep going. And when football is back, it's back. But at the end of the day, wealth is health. So that's what I say. And if you have health, you have wealth. So it's very nice, and we're just at home spending time. Of course, it gets boring and you want to go out and go back and play with your mates and play football in front of the fans. We miss that, We had a enclosed game 2 weeks ago, which it was something different. It was not the same without the fans and that kind of thing. It was tough, and I think, like Pep quoted once, without the fans, there's no football. So we shouldn't be playing if the fans couldn't come anyway. So yeah, that's what I think. But yeah, everything's good.
It sounds very difficult, but I guess, you have your newly born daughter with you. What's it like being a dad for the first time and having all of this happen around you?
Yeah, well, wasn't as bad when my daughter was born. So it literally came a week after she was born. But to become a dad, I know a lot of people say, you just wait and see. And I always thought to myself, it's going to be nice, but it's not like that. But when she came out, she gave me tears of joy. It's literally falling in love for the first time. So she's a piece of me. She's my heart. So it's an amazing feeling, and I'm pretty sure every dad out there will back that up. So that's the nice part. And it was actually amazing that she came out. She came out early before it happened, and so a week later, I got told we got told that Denmark's going to lockdown and the borders are closing and that kind of thing. So it got a bit of a shock and a bit of a worry because, looking after the little one, seeing how she is and stuff. But, at the end of the day, she's fine. She's got her mum here and we're home, and, now we're home literally 24/7. So we take our turns and who's got the night duty and that kind of thing. So it's good, and yeah, it's amazing. But it was good. But now without football, it's tough, and we just hope it can get back to the way it used to be.
And what are your teammates doing to keep the morale up, really? Because it must be quite difficult being inside most of the day. Obviously, you've got your daughter to entertain you, but how does the team keep the morale up?
Yeah, it's the coach actually said it the second he sent us home. He said, "This is the most important time ever, where you have to try to keep mentally sane and physically fit, because it's tough. It's not easy to be at home all day, every day for the next 2, 3, 4 weeks. We don't know how long it's going to take, and that's just part of it. But we try to keep on WhatsApp groups and send around jokes and that kind of thing. So just to keep in contact a bit, and FaceTime and that stuff. So how you going? What's going on? It's not easy, and especially for some players who are foreigners and live alone. So I have Zach Duncan, the Australian boy, who I talk to almost every day on FaceTime, and just to see how he's going, because he's alone in his little apartment and that kind of stuff. So it's not easy. He's got his PlayStation, but to have your PlayStation 24/7 isn't fun. So it's tough, but yeah, that's what we try to do. Keep in contact, and send each other pictures of us working out and mucking around and giving some jokes and that kind of thing. So it's part of it, and that's what we got to do. At the end of the day, it's for the world and for the health of everyone. So
and it must be nice having that Aussie connection there at the club between yourself and Zach and Alex. I'm sure people on Instagram have seen plenty of photos and videos of. So is it good to kind of have those guys to be able to chat to?
Yeah, of course. It's always nice to have an Aussie connection. It's amazing, have three Aussies here in one club, and it's always fun and stuff. We always, every 2-3 weeks, we try to have a family dinner, and where they come to our house or we come to theirs and host a dinner and stuff like that. But yeah, it's chilled, it's nice, and at the moment we can't actually go see them, so it's more of a FaceTime and chatting, and Alex and Zach calling, and me putting Fiona on FaceTime, and them melting their hearts, so it's nice and it's good. But they can't wait to this corona's gone and they can finally come visit her and give her hugs and kisses.
And so out of those three Aussies, you're obviously the oldest one and one that's taken a leadership role at your club. Tell us a bit about your season this year and how you've enjoyed, being a leader in that team.
Yeah, well, I've been here for quite a while now in this club, and I think I've played the most games at the club right now in the current squad and that kind of thing. So I do feel a big leadership and a big part of it, And this year we've been doing great. We're coming third at the moment, and until we've been stopped. So it's a big season. We're in the semi-final of the cup, which is also very important for the club, and it's really going good at the moment. And to be a big part of that is always nice, and to try to help the younger guys come in. Where Zach played 10 odd games, and he's done really well, and it's nice to have a Aussie in next to you in battle and stuff like that. We just before Christmas we came up against A1 Mobile, FC Michelin, so it was they were top of the table and we were third, and it was a big game before Christmas break, and Zach was starting in midfield next to me, and we looked at each other and was just, hey, two West Sydney boys doing this, let's do it, come on. And we ended up winning the game, and it was just a great moment, stuff you will remember for the rest of your life, and that's just how it is, It's always nice to have other Aussies here, but the team's good, the Danish boys are also good, so everyone's good together, but yeah, of course it's always nice to have some Aussie connection here, and, it's something different. It's like feeling at home a bit.
And that might be a good segue to talk about some of your time with the Socceroos, from representing your club alongside Aussies to representing your country in some World Cup qualifiers. You played in a few of the ones last year, and the one this year in March has been postponed. What was it like to get that news that the March games had been postponed?
Yeah, it was actually devastating. We were actually really looking forward to playing those games and playing in March, in June. I can guarantee you all the footballers and Australian fans and footballers ourselves were really excited for what was coming ahead. And, like I said, at the end of the day, it's been postponed for 1 year and that kind of thing. So if the health says that, then we do that. Football is number one, but right now it's not number one, if you get what I mean. So, health is most important. But of course, I love going to camp with the Socceroos. It's one of my favorite times in football and in life, in general. It's a great family there. It's a lot of fun. It's good coaching staff. It's hard work, and it's playing for your country at the end of the day. When you go out and sing that national anthem, it gives me goosebumps and it gets me teary for some reason. It's emotional. It's something that as a kid, when you're growing up playing football, you dream of, and to be able to have done that and doing that is a privilege and an honor. And at the end of the day, working hard and doing well for your club is just gonna give you selection for that. So yeah, it's not good that we're not be able to play, but at the end of the day, we will play those games. And
why do you think you get so emotional when you play for Australia? What is it about representing your country that gets you feeling like that?
Yeah, well, it's an emotional story. It's because my mum and dad, my dad came from Afghanistan, a war-torn country, and my mum was also in war in Nicaragua. They both had to run away, and they both have their own stories. And to find that they met at a refuge camp in Villawood, so in West Sydney in Villawood, they met, and they had me as well, and what Australia has given us and what Australia has given my mum, my dad, and it's an amazing story, and we can never repay them, but at the end of the day, we're Australians now and proud to be, and it's something special. It's it's Australia. You're representing your country. You're representing everyone. You're representing yourself, your family, and that's the best thing about it, and you're playing football, doing what you love. And, when we walk out, for example, at ANZ Stadium, playing in front of 30, 40,000 people, and you walk out and you just see everyone cheering, then, you're backed up by them, and it's an amazing feeling. And I still remember when I was watching the World Cups and Tim Cahill scored against Japan, I was literally running around the streets screaming, once it happened. It was just such a special moment, and I hope and I know there'll be some special moments to come when I'm there as well. So, it's great, and yeah, it's representing your country. It's a boyhood dream. So every time you go out on that pitch and you sing the national anthem, that it's telling you that dream came true. Keep going, so it's great. It's something in your heart, and that's how it is.
And are there any moments representing the Socceroos that stick out in your mind?
Well, of course, when I got my debut, but when I first got my starting debut in Sydney, the day before the game, I literally could not sleep. We were playing against Lebanon in a friendly in Homebush, and I told my Arnie came up to me the day before the game, and he looked at me and he said, "Are you ready?" And I said, "Yes." And he said, "Well, get ready. You're going to start." And I was shaken up by that and nervous and stuff like that. Going to start my first game for the senior Australian national team, and it's in Sydney with all my friends and family. I think I had about 80, 90 people there coming to watch me, so it was and me living away from overseas, I don't get to see them so often, my parents, my brothers, my sister, my cousins, my friends, and, coming back for the national team, you always get that time to see them a little bit, and, it was going to be that moment that I step onto the field and represent Australia in front of my friends and family in Sydney. So I think that was one of my main things that I remember.
How hard is it living away from your family, playing in Europe overseas? Obviously, you've got, this dream to play football at the highest level you can, but on the other hand, you've got, your family back home. Yeah,
well, I can tell you when I was, I think, 15 years old, and I had to go to Canberra for the AIS Institute. I got a scholarship there, and I still remember the day my family dropped me off at the domestic airport, and I was going on the flight, and all of us were crying in tears, and imagine that I was just going 3 hours away to Canberra. So that was tough, and that was tough then. And then when I hit 18 and Borussia Dortmund signed me, it was just a whole nother feeling. It's something else when you're saying goodbye to your family for quite a long time as an 18-year-old. But, my mum and dad always told me, just go for your dreams. So that's what I did, and, it was hard. It's been lonely nights, and I've been crying and that kind of stuff by myself, in the beginning, 18, living away from home, having a hard time. It's not easy and that kind of thing. So living away from home is tough, and it doesn't get easier, when, for example, when I went home now, you spend time with your family, and after 4 or 5 days, it's like you've never left, and that's the hard part, because when the time comes and you have to go back and report for pre-season, that's when 2-3 days before you leave, you start to feel it and almost get emotional, in some sort of sense. And yeah, it's tough because you miss out on your nieces' birthdays, your nephews, and your mum and dad's birthdays. Of course, you have FaceTime and you call them every day, but it's still not the same. But that's part of being a professional footballer. And when one day do go back and spend time with them, it'll for sure be quality time like always. And, that's just part of being a footballer. You got to do it. And, I always try to, when I have time, go back and visit them, or when they come here and visit me. So they're always good times.
What is it that drove you as an 18-year-old when you're away and by yourself to keep on going?
Yeah, well, the day I left to Dortmund, I went there and said goodbye to my family, and I still remember that whole 14-hour flight to Dubai for the transit was me crying, sleeping, waking up, saying, why am I doing this, and that kind of stuff. And, at the end of the day, once I hit Germany and I started to get going in training and, seeing the European football, I said to myself, okay, let's do it. Let's make your parents proud. Let's make yourself. You can do it. And, my goal was always to go there and represent Australia. And that's why I do get emotional leaving as an 18-year-old. And you have a goal to become a national team player for your country. And, when that goal is realized every time you go onto the field with the Socceroos and sing the national anthem, that's why it happens, and that kind of thing. So, yeah, it's driven me to be successful because, when I look at my father, who's been a great role model and mentor to me, and he's never pushed me. He's always the only advice he's given me in life is, my son, be a good person. That's it, and he's never said, hey, you got to do this, you got to do that. He's always said, enjoy the game and just be a good person. So, and when I see him providing for 4 kids, working 12-hour shifts, night shifts, and kind of stuff to work and provide us to be able to live and play football and do whatever we want to do is something that I want to be able to give my kids. And when I do go back to Sydney, I try to look after them as much as I can, and that's just a gratitude of what they've done for me. So you can never repay them, but I think me, for example, playing for the Socceroos is playing for Australia, and them coming to the games, I think that is a proud moment for them, and they've always told me that I make them proud. So that gives me the urge to keep going. And now I have my own little family, my girlfriend and my little one. So it spurs you to keep going, and that's what I'm going to keep doing. I'm turning 27 soon, so it's going to be soon 9 years in Europe, and keep going. And that's how it is. I just want to keep fighting it out. It's tough. It's not easy, but being a professional footballer, and that's part of it, and being at the heart of football in Europe is something that I'll cherish, which is good.
How do you look back on your time that you've spent in Europe, coming over as an 18-year-old at Dortmund to now? What have you learnt?
Yeah, well, I've learnt a lot. It's it's a whole new Musti, you can say, from 18 to now. And, as an 18-year-old, I went there and I didn't know the way of being a professional footballer. I just went there and kicked the ball around and thought, okay, this is cool. And there's so much more to it about living and, sleeping right, eating right, that kind of thing. It was tough as an 18-year-old. I don't know how to cook, and to go there. So, yeah, I was eating out every night and that kind of thing. So it was nice, but at the end, it wasn't what a professional footballer should be doing, And now I had my 3 years there, which was great 3 years. I sat on the bench in the Champions League and that kind of thing. It was great, but if I could go back, with a different mindset of maybe learning to to sleep at the right times and eating well and that kind of thing. Because as an 18-year-old, you're just going there, you don't know much, and it's tough. And now when I moved to Denmark as a 21-year-old, my girlfriend ended up moving there with me, which was a big help. And lucky enough, she came, and she started to cook for me and teach me how to cook and look after me. So that was, I think, a big step in my career, to look after myself, not just on the football pitch, but outside the football pitch, of sleeping well, eating well, looking after yourself, doing your recovery, all that kind of thing, So, now if you put me in by myself in an apartment, I think I could survive and do it in a real good way, It's eating the right foods and that kind of thing, and having breakfast, lunch, dinner, all that stuff, and your vitamins and all that kind of thing. So yeah, if I've learned a lot in that way, and just those kind of things was I think the main ones. On the pitch, of course, you learn because you grow older, you get more experience in that, but off the pitch, it's something different, and it's an important thing about keeping healthy and eating the right foods, sleeping, and that kind of thing. So as an 18-year-old, I went there, on top of the world, signed for Borussia Dortmund. But when I look back, as I was eating out every night and sleeping at different times and that kind of thing, so sometimes not eating breakfast, and it was just a young boy in Europe, and I finally found out that, hey, there's a lot more to just being able to kick a ball. And I think that's where you see the likes of Cristiano Ronaldo, the discipline he has and stuff even at his age now, the sleeping and eating and just doing all the right things with your recovery, your massage and all that kind of thing. So I think I've learned a lot in that way, and yeah, now I'm better off for it. So it's good.
Did you have anyone kind of looking over you at that point? And is that kind of a role that you play now for the younger players?
Yeah, well, it's not that I didn't have anyone looking after me or over me and that kind of thing, but at the end of the day, you're 18, you're far away from home, and you're literally not going to think, I'm going to go to the supermarket and get some veggies and some pasta and cook it up. You just call one of your friends and say, hey, let's go out and eat and that kind of stuff. So it's a tough one, because being alone and so far away, you can't call your mum and tell her, can you make me some food so I can put it in the freezer or something, It wasn't something that you could do. And, now I look at Zach and, try to help him out, because he's lucky enough to have me and Alex here as well to, have family dinners, and not just family dinners. He comes over for dinner. Like we had a day before game ritual where he came over my house, and we would cook pasta together and watch a movie and that kind of stuff like that. So just helping him to get into the routine, and he's cooking now, which is great, and that kind of thing. So it's always nice to see, because yeah, it wasn't the same with me. It was a bit difficult, so, but that's part of it. That's part of learning and being young, and that's how it is. So.
And have you got a favorite dish to cook now?
Yeah, well, I'm usually on head chef when it's taco night or pasta night. So I cook a good pasta, but it's day before game to carb up. So that's about it, but it's good.
I might just go back to, you talked about your Socceroos debut and starting debut, and Arnie coming over and telling you about it. Just to touch on Arnie, what's it like to work with him at the Socceroos after having worked with him earlier in your career at the Mariners?
Yeah, it's something special, that's for sure. I was a 17-year-old kid and got my professional debut from Arnie. It was a special moment in my life to be able to call myself a professional footballer. And for Arnie to give me that opportunity was something also special. It was a great team back then, and Arnie made that. He gave us the environment to make it a family and that kind of thing. So, like I said, we had players, half the squad, on minimum wage, and we ended up getting the minor premiership and stuff like that. So that just goes to show what type of coach Arnie is. And it's great respect to him to be able to do that at a club like Central Coast Mariners. And you see when he went to Sydney FC and had some resources with money, what he's done to that club, and smashed the records and that kind of thing. So for him, when he got selected to be the Australian national team coach, was a nice surprise for me. And of course, I got my debut under Ange Postecoglou, in World Cup qualifier. So I was part of the Socceroos, sort of, and now Arnie's come in and been a great mentor throughout my career for me. So, and now for him to be the national team coach, and yeah, it's something nice and special. But at the end of the day, you have to keep performing, and if you keep performing, you'll be selected. So that's how it is, and yeah, it's something nice to have him as the national team coach. That's for sure.
For Socceroos fans who will never, get the chance to go inside a Socceroos camp, give us an idea of what it's like to, be in that camp with all those players, and what kind of atmosphere Arnie and his coaching staff create.
Yeah, well, Arnie and Andrew Clark was also my fitness coach at the Mariners and stuff like that, and he's now the head of sports science in the Socceroos. But the culture and the atmosphere that they bring to the Socceroos is something that I think not a lot of national teams have. That's for sure. It's when I get selected for the national team, my heart, everything's happy. When I board that plane and come into camp and see all those faces, it just makes me happy. And it's a family, from the players to the staff to everyone around. It's something special, and it's, I think, a very relaxed environment, if you say so. But at the end of the day, when we're at training, we're working hard to be successful. But off the pitch, we're still doing the right things with the recoveries. We got great physios, massage therapists, everything. We have a chef who looks after us, and at the end of the day, everyone's there for one goal, and that is to make Socceroos the best it can be. And that's what we're all doing. We all have a main goal, and we're in the goal together. So that's the nice part. And Arnie, he keeps it relaxed. He jokes around, and we have whoever's new, they have to come in and sing on their debut camp and that kind of stuff. So they might be a bit daunted, but I think at the end of the day, they realize how nice it is and how good of an environment it is, that from if you've been there for 50 camps or one camp, you still feel at home, and that's the best part of it. So it's always nice.
So touching on, trying to make the Socceroos the best possible team it can be, do you want to tell us a little bit about the last few games you played in and kind of the progress of the team from, Kuwait, Nepal, Chinese Taipei?
Yeah, well, we've been playing some games, and that's how it is. And we got the World Cup qualifiers. We're trying to do the best we can, and we've won every game. So I know the opposition is not hard, but you can only win what you have in front of you, and that's what we've been doing, and trying to keep pushing. And like you've seen, the other month we went away to Jordan and had that historic win away from home, and we hadn't won in Jordan for, I don't think, ever, and that kind of thing. To be able to do that with this team and Arnie, it just shows that we're on the right track, and that's how it is. We're developing every game and every camp we have, so, we're a work in progress, and like Arnie says, we're not even halfway at 50% yet, and, I agree with that, and we will be better, and that's just how it's going to be. So he gives us belief, and yeah, we'll repay him on the pitch.
And going back a little bit further, middle of last year, it was a game against Korea. Socceroos didn't get the result, but it was a very good performance, one that the team had been training for those couple of weeks. Do experiences like that help make the team even stronger going into the World Cup qualifiers?
Yeah, of course. That was playing against Korea in front of 55,000 people, a strong Asian nation powerhouse, and we actually didn't have the full strength squad. Arnie took a lot of fringe players and players hoping to stamp the authority in the national team. So it was thinking it was going to be a bit of a gamble in that way. We're playing against the strongest South Korean team there is possible. Son was playing from Tottenham and that kind of thing. So it was daunting, but at the end of the day, we trained very hard that week on tactical stuff and that kind of thing. And, we got better throughout the whole week. And come game day, we delivered a great performance. I know we lost 1-0, but to be able to compete with that team, we did a very good job. And I was proud of being with the team and going to play for them, and like I said, it's always a proud moment to play for Australia. We would have liked to have won, but that game just shows that we can compete with the best, and we will, and that's how it's going to be, when we qualify for the World Cup 2022, and all these steps along the way is to build us to go to the World Cup 2022 and win games. So that's what we want to do, and that's our goal, and that's what we're going to do. So it's going to be good.
That's awesome, mate. We might just quickly jump into the adapted pros questionnaire. So we'll go through these at your pace, and feel free to stop me at any point if you've got to ponder for a second. Jump into them. What do you consider your best personal trait?
My best personal trait is being happy, smiling.
What do you consider your worst personal trait?
My worst personal trait would probably be probably snoring, if you ask my girlfriend.
What's your greatest fear?
My greatest fear would probably be losing my daughter now, or even my girlfriend. So those two, they're really precious to me, and they're my life right now. So
the next one should be an easy one then, because what brings you your greatest joy?
My little princess, she gave me the greatest joy of when she came out. It was full of happiness and stuff like that. So she's my greatest joy.
Yeah. And she's probably also the answer to the next question, which is, what is your most treasured possession?
My most treasured possession is Vienna. And, I carry her and look after her like she's an angel, and because that's what she is to me. So she's probably that.
If you could go back to relive one football moment, what would it be?
To relive one football moment would probably be when I was 15 in the Manchester Cup final, and I stepped up for a penalty and missed. So to take that back.
What moment would you like to wipe out of your memory forever?
To wipe out of my memory forever would probably the the game last season in AGF, we were on European playoff spot, and we were on the brink of getting that spot, and the last 30 seconds of the game we got scored against, and that was it.
If you could change one thing about yourself, what would it be?
If I could change one thing about myself, it would probably be my height. I think my height, if I was a little bit taller, it would be good.
Would that change how you play on the field, or it doesn't really matter for you?
I think it would help with winning headers, that's for sure.
What profession other than a footballer would you like to try?
Well, I love football, and I think after football I would like to stay in football, so to become a coach.
Do you have a dream team that you'd want to coach?
Yeah, of course. One day I would like to coach in the Premier League and win the Premier League, but that's a dream, and one day hopefully I can achieve that. But yeah, to coach a team and win a league.
Cool. And at the conclusion of your football playing career, what would you like fans and writers to say about you? To say he was a good player and very respectful to the fans, and the most part he enjoyed his football. So for a guy that was really in love with football. And I think you've definitely shown that throughout the chat. Thank you very much for joining us, Musti.
Thank you very much.
All the best on getting through this interesting period, but also enjoying the special time with your new daughter.
Yep, will do. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot.
Thanks for listening to the Socceroos podcast with guest Mustafa Amini. There were plenty of insights from Musti about the Socceroos, and you can learn more and keep up to date at socceroos.com.au, as well as the social channels for all the latest news and videos on the team. Be sure to also check out our Matildas podcast, available at matildas.com.au, and keep up to date with their latest news and videos. Don't forget to also get involved with the #PlayAtHome challenge on social media. Every week, the Socceroos and Matildas will be posting a new skill challenge to complete, and then tag your friends to attempt. Tune in next week for the Socceroos podcast, and let us know on social media if there's players and questions you want answered. Until then, goodbye.